But finding you was like this gold mine where I have a one-stop shop and I can find all of these resources and then I can make them mine.
Hello, it's Rustick here with Grant Writing and Funding, and I am here today with one of our Freelance Grant Writer Academy students, and that's Maria-Paula Garcia. And I'm really excited because Mapi, you came in and you have grant writing experience. You've worked and with the county and Miami-Dade and all the things. And now you're even in the last few months, you've been able to get into our Freedom Circle, because once you hit 50K in your business, we have like another we have quarterly private coaching, group coaching. We do a private Slack channel for you all. We kind of teach on different things that we don't want to overwhelm people right away. But once you reach 50K, at least in your business, you get there so you can get these added things like we're talking about. Ooh, maybe you want a VA because you just things happen. We'll talk about that today. I love it so much. So even today, you're like, right before this call, Holly, I just got another client and it was a retainer because we've been working on retainers for you. So now you're up to $62,775 in your business just that you've secured over the last few months. So super excited for you. So let's talk about your experience in the academy, where you were at before, what's been really helpful. And for people out there who are already have grant writing experience, is this for me? Let's talk about that from your perspective as well. But welcome to the podcast. Love this.
Thank you, Holly. I really appreciate the invite, and I'm super happy to be here. Yeah. And okay, so a little bit about my background. I started my consulting business 2 years ago, 2.5. And I started after being working for the same funder in Miami-Dade for 10 years. So I had a lot of experience sort of in the other side of the spectrum, right? Where I was deciding on the strategic priorities of the funder, and then what type of programs we wanted to fund. We were putting out the RFPs. I was reviewing them. I was deciding how to select, the people that would get the awards, and then how to evaluate what they were doing. So I feel I was very well positioned as far as the level of experience that I have had, and what I could offer to, especially locally, because I was very familiar with the funding here in Miami-Dade. So I feel that gave me this level of confidence that didn't really allow for me to question things like, how am I going to build a business around this, right? I knew what my expertise was. I knew and I trusted that I was going to find people that were going to, want to pay for my services. But I wasn't starting my business with a business mindset. I had never had my own business. I didn't know how to, negotiate a contract and find the clients, and this cycle of having to sell all year round while trying to secure your, the money that you need to pay your bills, while also growing. So, and the reason why I'm mentioning all of this is because I feel like the first 2 years were very sort of unplanned in a way, and things fortunately did fall into place a lot, and I was able to still make a living, but I had definitely dry seasons where I was like, oh my god, this is not working, what am I gonna do? And then I definitely lost track or wasn't as effective at meeting certain goals that I had, or really feeling that I had that stability. So I feel that getting some insight into what that means, how to make it happen, and then having the tools to do it, that is what I feel your academy does so well, because you have so many resources. We have the coaching, we have other people that we can hear from and learn from, and really seeing these as not just you are an expert on something and you're helping somebody else get something, but you're also building your own business, and that requires a different set of skills, and it requires a different set of tools, and it goes beyond just being able to offer that service. So I'm super grateful. I feel that I had this sort of turning point, because the end of last year was pretty rough as far as a dry season, and then I was losing confidence in how I was selling. I wasn't sure about how I was gonna at least make my baseline. And now I feel like I have a plan. I'm still not where I want to be, but I'm definitely, in a better position. Mm-hmm. And then I also feel that helps not only me having that stability, but also being very clear about what my offers are and being able to work with clients more effectively, which I think is also like a huge gain.
I love that so much. And yeah, and the thing is and how you talked about that is so common for so many people I've talked to, for myself as well. Like and it's a lot of people out there, like, I have the skill of grant writing. Maybe I've even opened a business, but I'm not having consistent clients. And we almost think that we can walk into it really confidently because there is a lot of probability that you are going to get clients because you have this skill, right? You know how to write grants, you know how to review grants. Personally, you did, right? Like you knew the backside of it. So you're like, no problem. And really, yeah, there isn't a lack of clients, but there's another skill besides the grant writing as a freelance grant writer, and that's business acumen, right? So I
Yes.
was like, oh yeah, there's that too. Like I remember going, oh, that's the missing piece. So then like doubling down on that. And then when you have both of those skills, they're still just skills, but until you have systems with those
Yes.
skills, right? Then things start to flow, and then getting feedback on your systems is where you can start scaling. So I feel like even like watching you over the last few months, it was like, yeah, I've got skills. Oh, and now I'm learning a little bit more skills in business acumen, but now I have systems and getting feedback. And now the clients are coming in, right? There's that confidence that also gets like embedded in that. And I've seen that with you, and I'm like, yes, because you're talking again, when you came in too, you're also, you're starting to do more retainers now. We've had more of those conversations with you. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that to me is a game changer because again, I think that we get so focused or have all these ideas about the skill and the actual service and the action of the grant writing, right? And it's hard to think about how to deliver it or charge for it in a way that's not hourly based. So a lot of what I was doing was hourly based. I'm
Mhm.
still doing hourly based, which is tricky because we've talked about and I see it even more clearly now with the work in the academy. An hour of my work is not like comparable to an hour of anybody else's work because experience type thing, like how efficient you are, how many systems you have, right? So I think that is starting with changing my own mindset, which is where it starts. So like understanding that my value is not in how much time I spend on a specific client, but what I can do for them.
Mhm.
And then being able to have that conversation with existing clients who have been paying per hour. That I'm still navigating that with a couple of clients, especially who they're happy with my work. They give me work every month. Like we are an informal retainer,
Yeah.
but getting them to kind of let go of that and and understand that it's in both of our benefit to lay out a plan for the year or for 6 months, ideally a year, where we know and have clarity on what my role is, what I'm bringing in, what I'm producing for them. And then we don't have to be discussing whether $300 in like looking into a specific grant was worth it or not.
Yeah.
Because it's just like this is the relationship and this is what I'm producing. And so I'm still navigating those conversations. It's not easy because people, like, the hourly rate I guess gives people like some sense of control over, like, they know how, like, what they're getting.
Yeah.
But it's definitely my goal because I not only think that it will be better for them because then they have somebody that they trust and we can really build on the work that we do and achieve better things as we go forward. But mostly also, for me to be able to have that certainty that I have, my basic needs covered and maybe more. And then I can also, the third piece, which it goes to the systems piece, is then I can really plan ahead, right? So then I know that for this period of time, I have these clients, my time is, as far as like the capacity that I have to take more and more, is here. So I shouldn't be taking many more like one-off things. I also do workshops and other things that I want to lead over that. but really being able to plan so that as I continue to sell, because I should never stop selling, that's something else that I learned. But then when I have the conversation, I can go like, listen, yes, I can do this. A retainer is the best way to do it. I don't have the bandwidth right now, but I can do it in a month, or I can do it in 2 months, or how. And I feel that is, it's such a better way in general to, it's also a more effective and I think also more successful way of running my business and then supporting the organizations that I work with.
Right. And I love that you started, like, it was like a mindset shift too, and it's still a mindset shift for your clients. And we've been working on how to have those conversations and all of that. And I love that you're bringing those questions too, like, because it's tricky. We have relationships with people, there's habits, they're used to things, change is hard. Talking pricing and talking about that again. Like sometimes they're like, "Whoa, I did that. I went through it. I got it." And now we got to bring it back up. Like that even happens with our renewals. Like when people are in renewals, how do I talk about this? Right. So we give you some feedback on that because we can bring it to a neutral ground of like, well, this is just the way I'm doing business now. Right. Instead of like, oh, it's like this huge identity shift, which it kind of is on a personal level to you, but we can make it more neutral with those current people, right? And make it like, okay, well, this is in my business right now, and this is how we're doing it. And in this way, the budget doesn't change drastically every month too.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we just know they can budget for it better. You don't have to go back into conversations every month, like you said. Like that's so like, well, if I continue working on this, then I have to charge you an extra blah, 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 right? Instead of just saying, well, I can or cannot take on this grant right now because I write X number of grants for you in the year and you want me to prioritize this, right? So it's just an easier, you actually have conversations that are awkward.
Yeah. No, I agree. And then you made me think of something regarding, like I'm a big believer on, like sort of the energy that you put into things or the ways in which you approach your work or your relationship with a client. Obviously, it's going to impact whether you like it or not, the product and the outcomes of that relationship. And everything that you said, I think, are reasons why it relaxes sort of both parties in a lot of ways, and it makes the relationship, I think, more positive and more supportive. But it also empowers you, right? So I feel that, and as it empowers you, it attracts, I think, different types of clients to you as well, because it's not like, I'm trying to figure out what to charge this person and how to charge this person, and these, and I can only do those hours, and it's like very sort of scarcity type of mindset. Whereas if you just go like, okay, this is how I work, this is the best way in which I can support you, and these are like the type of clients that I want to work with are clients that understand that. I feel that is just such a good shift for me and for the client, and yeah, it just yields to more better outcomes, I feel, overall.
I love that because it sounds like too, like if that what you're talking about, like I don't know what to price, can I take them on? Like when you're getting just projects thrown at you from here and there, charging hourly, there is so much brain space taken up by it. It's really inefficient, and it keeps you up at night. It wakes you up in the morning. You're constantly trying to figure it out. So when you're just like, oh no, I take on retainers and I have room for this many right now, and I can put, you know what I mean? Or I can take on more because I can create systems then for that. You're not thinking about that. It's not keeping you up.
Yes, exactly. That's where we need to be. Yes. At the end of the year, I'll be there. I promise.
You're getting there though, because you do. I know you said, "Oh, I'm on out," but you today you got a retainer client, right?
Yes,
So how was that
I'm
for
so
you?
happy. It was great. It's also somebody that we've been talking about working together for a while, and I sent her some proposal last week, but then we're still not confirming. And this week I was just, because I also have, it is true, like I have like 3 more leads that I'm kind of waiting to hear from. And this is somebody that I really wanted to work with. So I texted her and I was like, listen, I am close to, confirming contracts with other people. I want to make sure that I, prioritize your work because I really want to, work with you. So we got on the phone, we discussed a couple of details that she wanted to discuss. And then she was like, yeah, send me the contract. and I'll send it back to you. And I'm gonna be very, so I sent it, and I've never charged in advance. So this
Oh,
idea, I
wow.
know, Holly. I don't know how I've
Oh, this is
survived.
so good for you, though. This is so good for you.
So I've never charged in advance, but in the contract I put, like you pay the month at the beginning of the month. And I sent it out, and I was like, oh, she's so not gonna go for that. Like the board is not gonna want her to do that. But she emailed me today, and she's like, okay, here is signed, and here is your payment. And I'm like, okay, this is amazing, right? So yeah, it felt really good, and I think it's like those smaller shifts, but things like very small details as that one. Honestly, I hadn't even thought that was a possibility, because you again are so focused on the actual like writing the grant that to me it was just natural that people will pay me once the grant was written, right? Or maybe I will do like halfway through, and then at the end, if it was like a short grant, or just like
That pay
monthly at the end of the month.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, that's a huge mind shift, and I'll continue trying it, but it's definitely one that has been like hard for me to be convinced about. Yeah, I did.
Did it?
I'm very
And they
proud.
didn't even bat an eye. They said, okay, that's how she does business.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about having that money in your bank account now before you even start the work? Like, this is the first
I
time.
know. It
So
feels amazing, I have to be honest, it feels a little wrong. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I cannot? Like, because you're like, I haven't done the work. Like, we are so programmed.
Yeah.
To that it's like, there is a little part of me that is like, oh, like mischievous about the thing. But I know that it makes sense. Like, the other part of me is like, of course, like, you have to, in order for you to be successful at what you do, you must be supported, and there needs to be this trust factor. And this is what builds like a successful relationship, because otherwise I'm sort of, I'm almost like working for free until they pay me, whereas now I'm being supported as I work for them. So I feel that that's also a very important
Exactly.
shift.
And what's wrong with that? There's nothing
Exactly.
wrong with that at all. But what, like you said, to your point, we bring in all of the systemic kind of issues with, especially as females, right? And we bring this into it to be like, we're used to like having to prove our worth first before we get paid. All of this stuff that's very disempowering. And then what happens with a lot of times we hear too, is they didn't pay. How do I get paid? They're late in their payment. Now if I'm getting paid at the end of it, like, that's why it's so wrong too. It's like, and then they got a late payment and I was already banking on that, and the work is already done and it's out of my hands. And sometimes people have a really hard time even getting the payment. So that's where we're like, no, you need to get paid up first, for one thing, because you're going to be doing the work. So you need to be paid while you're doing it. And we think lawyers do this all the time. Different services do this.
Everybody gets, I know.
Why can't we? We can. And now you're saying, oh, it actually works. So I think, part of that is a lot of the mindset that, we can continue to work through too, because it's so common and ingrained on us that, oh, this does kind of feel wrong that I'm getting paid up front and equitably. like we have to unlearn too, right? We have to So I love that you have this, that you're going through it and you're like, okay, I'm going to trust the policies, because we have like a sample contract policy. I'm going to trust it. So I'm so glad that you did, and you're trusting us, and then you're seeing this like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I think it's incredible. And also, in addition to like the being a woman piece, I think it's also like in the nonprofit world, right? Like there is this also sense of like everything is like charity, right? And like the resources are lacking. And I remember something that you said, which actually one of the the potential retainers that I have out made me think of you, because you were talking about how, like we tend to give people breaks or give them discounts, or even like not charge them much because they don't have the money, they're just starting, they're a nonprofit. But you were like, if they started this, they need to have the funds to do it. And a lot of times maybe they don't have their budget, but they have people in their board that can chime in. And these people that I talk to, there is the organization is primarily funded by a board member.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was like, well, if they really want this, that person is just gonna have to pay for this too, And if they do, they do, and if they don't, that's another thing too. Like, I feel that this mentality of like, oh, I just have to take any work that comes my way.
Yeah.
Yeah, shifting that has also been like really big for me, because you are gonna find your ideal clients. You just have to be clear in who they are, and then be brave enough to kind of like be coherent with what you want, right? So if you want that, like, why are you taking this, right? And I think that, again, if you can communicate that confidently, then people are even going to value you more, and they're going to want to get to that position of your ideal client to be able to work with you. And if not, then that's okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that too, because a lot of times, and it sounds like you're starting to see this too, is they'll have said no to you in the past, but they'll come back. As long as you'll have, sorry, the other way, they'll say no to you, or you'll say no to them where they're at. Like, no, you can actually say no, like, these are my prices and this is what happens. So, you can look at this resource, but when you're ready, come back. And a lot of times they do, because they try out the free writer, they try out the volunteer, they try out somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience, they hire an in-person grant writer that they're making them do all the other things, and they don't see the ROI. And they do, I've had so many people that have come back to me, that come back to students, and they're like, oh, and in the moment you're kind of like, oh, didn't get that client, but they come back as a yes later on, and then they respect you more, especially if you stay your ground. Now, if you give them the discount, if you take them on because you're feeling desperate, they usually turn into your worst client ever.
Yes. No,
Have you had that experience?
I can totally see that. Yes, I've had clients that I'm like, I should not have taken them, and and that's the other thing, I think that one of the things that I already was really seeing, but it just becomes so much more clear with all of the work that I'm doing now, and with the resources that you provide and the coaching calls, is, there is a level of readiness that is needed, and the level, and when people hire you to write grants, they expect that because you know how to write grants, it's up to you to get the funding. And that's never it's very rarely the case. Like, yes, a good grant writer can help you submit a good application, but a good application doesn't necessarily equal an award, because an application can be very well written, but if you don't have at your core what it takes to be able to implement whatever it is that you're saying you're going to implement, then, I mean, you're not going to get it, right? So having also sort of like the what would be the word for that? Like, and I want to say empathy, but really having the ability to have the conversation with somebody and have them understand that they're just not at the level of readiness yet. That you can maybe help them get there, or that there are other things that they need to do before they come to you. Those are the ones that I've had more, like people that really were not ready, and I really put my heart and soul into the thing, and of course they didn't get it, and then they were frustrated because they didn't get it, and they probably felt, and I probably felt it as my failure too, right? So just, again, getting rid of those ideas, I feel, is also very important part of the journey.
That's so big. I mean, just the other day, there was another student in the academy too that said that, like, I'm talking with this client and all they want me to do is write grants, but I know they also need to do the nonprofit wellness audit, which we provide that in the program for that grant readiness, because of what you're saying exactly. Like, we want you to help them be successful. We want you to win grants and put you in the best position to do that. So we also apply on how to get the nonprofits grant ready, to your point, because it is helpful, right? And she was even like, I don't know if I should take them on, et cetera. So there's these conversations all the time on, and even the retainers. That's why I love the retainers so much too, because if you decide to help someone get grant ready, then if you have 6 or 12 months that you're working with them, you can actually lead them on a path. Well, the first 2 months, we're going to be going through the nonprofit wellness audit. We're going to be building up a grant strategy. We're going to be building up the master grant application, right? So we're having time to get them ready, we're setting up the right type of expectations. Like, we're not even gonna start writing grants yet. Like, we're gonna take a little time because we need
Yes.
to see what works, right? And that's
Yeah.
like, you come back and go, oh, I didn't even know that. So it's us educating them as well and saying, "Look, I know you want to get grants. I know you want to win $1 million tomorrow, but you just opened your nonprofit yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
we need
Yeah.
some time, right?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad you're
Yeah. No,
finding
that's huge.
that process helpful to have some
It is
vocabulary.
super helpful. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? Like that there are a lot of things that maybe you um know or that you wish you could communicate, but when you have the right words, the right vocabulary, the right tools to
Mhm.
not just say you're not ready, but be able to engage in that conversation of let's look at what's needed so that I can help you with that so that then you can be ready, right?
Mhm.
Because that's another like I guess one of the challenging things is you don't want to make it into a black or white type of approach where, you know, if I really feel and to me the mission of the nonprofit is so important. So even if it's a nonprofit that's just starting that I know wouldn't be able to get grants today, I wanna and I feel like really inspired to support them. So having that roadmap to do it in a way that they feel supported and they don't and they sort of get out of this mentality of like I just need a grant to get the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that that's so helpful for both, you know, for me as a business owner, and then for people who really need to do all of this work before they start applying for grants, and for them to understanding and see it and then see the value that you can bring in that process. It's
Yeah.
huge.
I love that. And I love that you're learning how to shift their expectations, right? Because a lot of times
Yeah.
they come to you with very unrealistic expectations. Like,
Yes.
as a grant writer, they're like, oh, you can help me get grants. And sometimes nonprofits will start a nonprofit because they're like, I can get free money. That's interesting. So then they're like, you're the wizard. And you're like, okay. Like, I'm a wizard, but it's gonna be a game. We're gonna be a long game with
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Just
yeah.
have to be patient. Yeah, that is true. That is
Um,
absolutely true. Yeah.
so good. Yeah, changing the expectations is huge, right? It's huge on how it's going to, like you said, because then all of a sudden you're putting yourself in a position, if you don't like educate them on the right expectations and you both don't have that relationship going into it, what's going to happen then is exactly what happened to you. You spent all this time, you wrote the grant, it didn't get awarded, then you took it personally and you felt like a failure, right? There, we even have like how not to be like a failure when your grant gets awarded or doesn't get awarded or gets
Yeah,
rejected, right?
yeah,
We have that
yeah,
curriculum and we talk about that because it's a real thing. We do take that, but when we realize, okay, I'm going to set them up and I actually have a system that works better, we're not even looking, we say, okay, we're going to have some rejections. That's a part of this. Like, we can say that from the beginning. And yes, they always hurt a little bit, but at least we're not taking it so personally ourselves even, right? Because that's
absolutely. And I feel that, yeah, and having sort of the products of your work independent of the actual grant, I feel like I love the master grant template for that reason, because I almost feel like and I really believe, you know, if you are supporting, if we get into the retainer and we can develop these, and maybe at the end of the year maybe you're not even going to need me anymore, you know, because or maybe we, you know, the relationship changes or whatever, because you already have what you need to, you know, continue growing, or maybe this helps you get some funding and then you're going to have a position that's able to do some of this. So I think that, like, if they really can see it also as an opportunity to build their own capacity, to also explore other sources of funding, right? Like, to me the master grant template is such an amazing tool, because it can help them write, you know, a sponsorship package. It can help them, you know, when they talk to people, because to me it's just like being able to put everything like so concretely and so well documented that telling the story to whoever it is for whatever type of fundraising becomes so much second nature for them. And so I feel that, you know, being able to give them that as part of that growth process, and them knowing that they are going to have that product independently of how many grants we're able to get, is like that there is, that's very valuable
I love
for them
that.
as well.
Yeah, and I love that how you mentioned that because we have that inside the 30-day master grant template, which you said, it's like a robust template. It's like 27 pages. It is, so it's not just like, oh, when they hire you, then you're gonna write grants, and the only deliverable is gonna be the money secured by grants, because we can't guarantee that. Right. So when we have like, well, you're also getting this template report, and then we show you how to turn it into a corporate solicitation letter, a donor letter, a presentation, like they're having multiple deliverables, and they're more focused on those as well, and the value in that, than just looking at the money secured from a grant that we can't even guarantee. Right? So,
yes,
it's a different conversation.
Yes.
I love that. So yeah, and even looking at, so you came into the academy, like you already had your business for a little over 2 years. And so, what really was the main thing that you feel like has helped you in your business? Like we talked about a lot of different factors, but from the program itself, has it been like the master grant template, how to, change your mindset and go to retainers? Like what are some of the main highlights then?
So I think I have to start with a disclaimer, which is I don't think I've like reviewed in depth even like maybe 20% of the stuff that you have in there. Maybe less.
And you need to do it all. That's what we always say. There's a lot in there.
It's so much. It's so much. And I'm saying that because, like one of the things that it really surprised me, because honestly, like it was, to me, it was a little bit of an impulse, investment, because I knew that I needed something. I went to one of your webinars. I really liked your approach and the way in which you think about this. To be honest, that's what really drew me in. But then when I went in, I was like, wait, what? Like all of these is just, and you have all these templates and all these resources, and I feel that you're very generous about, like, oh, here is the template, and here is the sample, and here is another example in case that you want to do this. And here, and that's just so helpful, because as I was like, honestly, a lot of those 2 years were about me by myself, trying to come up with a lot of those tools. Right. Yeah. So I knew that I needed to have this type of contract. I knew that I wanted to have a sales packet. I knew that I wanted to start selling packages. But I was creating everything. Maybe I will, go online and try to find samples. But finding you was like this gold mine where I have a one-stop shop and I can find all of these resources. And then I can make them mine, which again, I mean, at the beginning I was like, am I sure I can like actually just use this? But you again are so generous, and you're putting it out there as part of these. I see it as really this opportunity for people to not only learn from you, but to build on what you already created, which is I think is pretty unique as far as like the way that these type of supports go, because there is always like that sense of like, oh, but this is my intellectual property, and and obviously there is your intellectual property, but the resourcefulness and the ability for people to really use what you offer, to me, that's been huge. And just with the what I've used the most is the master grant template. I've made some of my own sort of tweaks to it, but I really love using it. I've used your retainer contract template. I also feel it has like all of the information that I need. The sales deck, I'm also very excited about. I already did like my I adjusted some of my marketing things, and obviously I will again tweak some things, but that is very helpful. But I definitely need to. I want to go through all of the rest of the classes and and look at all of the resources in more detail. But yeah, like I just find them.
Too. Yeah,
I do, which is good, and that's another thing that I want to mention too. Like it is a lot. You do have a year. But also I feel like the conversations that we have with you are very helpful as far as like guiding us to where each person, based on their own like needs and where they're at, where they could start and how they can frame it. Because it can also be daunting to just see like a bunch of, modules, and then you don't know where to start. But I think that being able to, adapt it and sort of create your own type of journey through the academy, that's very helpful as well.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. And even though you've had your business, like you said, you're Googling things and trying to still create them all. And that
Mm-hmm.
is so much time where you
It is.
could just be doing client delivery work and getting client sales. I'm like, at this point, y'all, that's the two things you need to do.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, I cannot tell you how much time I've spent. Also because I'm very visual. I like things to be well designed. Like I'm very much about like how you present things, and being able to communicate in an effective way. And so I will spend like all this time trying to format things in the right way and put the key information. And obviously, when you're starting from like some generic consulting contract or some generic sales deck or whatever it is, it's much harder to get to like the what's essential here. With the resources that you like, it's clear what's essential, and then we just tweak it and adapt it, and we are saving like so much time and effort for sure. Like I think that to me has been a total game changer. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I get people that say, really, this is a Word doc? Yeah. It's not just like a locked PDF that you can only view. It's like, yeah, like make it your own. And that's what I love too, is like, I'm like, yeah, you can copy and paste some of it, but make your own branding on it. Make your own, like you said, you're adding some things to the master grant template on how you like to do it. Like, I love that so much when you start adopting it to your own unique business, right? But you have so much to work with then that it doesn't take you so much time to put it together from scratch. Like, oh, it's a lot of work, right? So like you said, if you leave it out, and then what happens is you procrastinate on doing it because you're so busy doing other things and it doesn't get done. And then you keep recreating, like things all the time instead of having a template or a system. So has that also been helpful, just having you've had the skills, you're learning the skills on business acumen, you're getting the template, so it's creating more systems. How has that impacted on your actual time? Like, now do you have more clients actually than you did before? And if so, like, are you able to utilize those systems so you're able to not just like multiply the amount of time it would have taken you before? Can you kind of speak to how it's affected your quality of life and business?
Yeah, no, I think it's had like a huge impact, also because what was happening to me was, again, because I was so I had the way in which my timeline was kind of happening, or the way that I spend my time was like I will have like very busy seasons with client work, where I felt like I just didn't have room to be looking for other leads or anything like that. And then I will have like dry seasons where I will,
because you weren't looking for
didn't
leads.
have exactly where I didn't have like a lot of client work, and I will use those to start like developing the template. So I will still not allocate as much time to the lead seeking, but I was just like trying to figure out these system piece, right? So to me, it's more like having those systems gives me like sort of leaves like no excuse for me to be able to what I'm doing now, which is I'm working on client work while at the same time I am pitching out, like new contracts. I'm sending them out. I'm getting, and it still is not where I want it to be. Like, I'm still doing a lot of things manually. I still don't have additional help. Like, so, but I don't feel it is as daunting, like to have the conversation, to send the contract, to maybe write a different scope of work, because I already have a lot of those things. So to me, I guess if we talk about like the way in which I spend my time, like what it has allowed me to do is to really have everything happening simultaneously, which is so much better, because then that means I'm not going to have as many dry seasons unless I really want to have like a whole vacation and I decide to block a month in the year, which I will at some point, but not yet.
I love that. And yeah, we'll get you there. Like, that's going to be on your docket this year for sure. Because you still have like 8 months with us this year. Then we want you to we can go through that with where you're at now, and it's just getting those recurring clients. And I think the game changer too is getting these new retainers. Like, you have your new retainer now and getting paid up front, so you already know this is a 6-month retainer, right, that you just signed on. So for the next 6 months, you have consistent cash coming in every single month, right? So that's been, okay, well, how many of those do I need to set up? get those set up, and you can still have ongoing sales even once you fill out your roles, because you can think of, okay, maybe I can, at that point, then we'll start talking about, I'll hire on a grant writer to help out. So even when I'm on vacation, there's still, things coming in and happening. So totally it can happen, and you're already on the journey to getting there,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
I
good.
am. I totally am. Yes, it's so good.
I love it. So anyone on the fence right now, they're like, I already have a business, Holly, but I'm listening to Mapi, and I'm kind of where she was. Like, like I don't have any systems. My time when it's dry, I'm just trying to like figure out the systems instead of doing sales calls, and it's all the things. And they're considering joining the academy, but they're kind of like, I don't know if I have the time, because I already, so much of my time is doing all these things. Like, what would you tell them?
To me, it's a no-brainer. Like, I really feel that the level of clarity, support, and then that investment in the systems piece, and really being able to run your business as opposed to your business running you, I guess. To me, that is invaluable, because it's really a lot about, obviously the financial stability is very important, and I think that your academy like really helps you get there for sure. Like I do not question that. But it's also about, like, I feel that once you're able to do that, there is so much more room to visualize like where you can go next, right? Like how you can grow, how you can scale. Again, we have been so brainwashed to like, oh, you work in the nonprofit sector, like there is no way you're going to be making more than X amount a year, or there is no way you're going to be charging more than X amount per like retainer, or whatever the case may be, right? But I feel like what you do, again, yes, the resources, yes, the classes, yes, all of that, to me is you help people think about this work differently. And that, even if you have, especially if you have been doing this for a while, I will bet money that you have a lot of things in your mindset that are keeping you where you're at. And maybe that's a good place, and maybe you're safe there, and maybe, but if you want to have like this certainty that you can have more, and you can build more, and you can go more, and you can maybe get to levels that you didn't even think were possible, I think the academy is a good place to get those things moving, for you individually, and then for your business for sure, because the resources are there. But to me, it's like a lot of it is in the mindset, and I feel that you have such a great mindset, and so different for like the nonprofit world.
I love that so much. And I've been hearing more and more of that from the students. They're like, yeah, they're making like these higher five figures, they're moving up to the 6-figure mark. And they're like, the main thing is a mindset switch. I've been hearing that a lot. And I'm like, yeah, because we do. It is ingrained in all of our systems. And we also have our separate self-coaching 101 practices, and our mindset channel, even in the Slack, right? Because those are the real things. Like, how do we just reframe this in a really neutral way? And then we can reduce, like, our nervous system doesn't have to be so like panicky, because it does, it can go there, and then our clients can go there, but we can just reduce that.
No.
Yeah.
And I think that has a ripple effect on everything, on how you show up, on how free up you can be energy wise to like really give it your all when you're working on a project, when you're working on a deliverable. Like it's hard to see it when you're in it, but once you're able to take a step back and see how much energy, like with the conversation that we just had, right? Like how much energy was I investing in, like this kind of like not knowing and not wanting to go there, and whatever the case may be, versus you being able to use that energy that I was using there into like the actual work, and in things that are positive and that are building, and not making you feel like freaked out about the business.
I feel like then you can spend time and really think about, how can I really get my clients results? What is the best way? It's like this different feeling, instead of just like, can I get all the deliverables done? Like when you're in that kind of anxiety space, then you kind of switch off and you're like, no, I have the system. So now I can just double down on it and be like, I can spend the time then in the program, like I can get my grant written actually early and send it for a review and get feedback on it. And I'm not just trying to keep up and at the last minute submit, right? There's a different type of quality that
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I think what we do can really impact how nonprofits work too. And what I'm seeing is that most of them, I will say 90% of them, are so reactive. And they are like just jumping at the opportunity that came in, and they're just kind of looking for like, what do we do here? Oh, we have to change the whole program so that we can apply for that, or we can and the way this mind shift can also have an influence on, as you just said, like how can I help them, but how can I also work with them so that they see the importance of this, so that they see the importance of planning, or having clarity what type of grants they should be applying for, or like exploring other ways in which they can build their budgets up. There is just so much about this approach that I feel is so needed in the nonprofit world, that I think it's another way in which we are impacting the field in general.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Totally, that's our mission, right? Is elevate the sector. So, and that's what we're every single person, you're doing that because now your approach is changing. So that ripple effect. So overall, everyone in the academy is completely changing the nonprofit field. Like, I think it's so amazing because, so I love that you pointed it out so articulately, because sometimes it's hard to like showcase that. But like what you said, it's very like that's exactly where we're going. It's like we want to change your quality of life, but also the quality of the sector, because that's really needed as well. So happy you're in the academy. You're doing that.
Thank you.
Yes, in your business and in your life. And thank you for your time today. I know like you recently just fractured your wrist and you're like
yes, I did. Yes, so, not fun, but
yeah, so things happen, but you've got things under control. Like I love that you're able, even in your business, to have health insurance right now. So all of the things that you've been really setting yourself up for. I'm so proud of everything you've done. So Mapi, where can people find you? So you have the Joy of Impact is your business, because you are so joyful and I love it. And you're so inspired about the work that you do. So you're the social impact consultant and the CEO of that business. So where can people find you if they're like, oh, this sounds really interesting, especially if they're in the Miami-Dade area? You do a lot of work there. So
I do. Yeah, so my website, thejoyofimpact.com, I'm revamping it right now, but probably it's going to be out like really soon. I'm very active on Instagram at The Joy of Impact, and also LinkedIn. So, and I have, in both places, I have links to schedule a discovery call with me. So yeah, those are the places, and I'll be very, very happy to hear from people. And if you have questions about the academy and want to talk to me privately, I'm open for that too.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for extending yourself to that. I love that. Yeah. And then once again, you focus on a lot of different community programs and grants, right? Can you just speak to that for a minute? So people are like, oh, I'm in Miami-Dade. Like, what kind of grants does she write?
So I used to work at the Children's Trust, which is the bigger funder in Miami-Dade. That's programs for children, mostly that impact children directly. So they have after school programs. I'm very knowledgeable of everything that has to do with after school, but they also fund. I'm also very invested in the early childhood area. So I work also reviewing grants for the United Way, the Miami Foundation. I'm also very familiar with. And then I've also applied for state grants and federal grants as well. I want to really get more into the federal grant area. But yeah, as far as, content area, I will say that definitely, childhood, early childhood in particular, but anything that has to do with like families and children is stuff that I have very good, background on and expertise. But I'm a big learner, and I really believe in, as long as I can connect to the mission an organization has, I feel like I definitely am happy to support. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. So yeah, we'll have all of the links in the show notes too. So if you want to get a hold of Mapi and the Joy of Impact, definitely check it out, because yeah, the work that you're doing is so great. And especially you have that grant reviewer hat on, and you have like, giving out the grants, like all of the things from that side. So it's really, really good to see that wraparound skills that you have and experience you have. So yeah, give Mapi a call. And then like she extended also, hey, if you have questions about the Academy, like who better to ask? Ask Mapi, she's in it. So it's like, awesome. So I love that. So thank you for extending that. So thank you for coming on the podcast today, sharing your experience in the Academy, and just to see all of the changes in just several months. Like you just joined recently and all of these things have happened for you and your business and the changes I've seen. So it's just amazing. And I can't wait to see you back inside the Academy. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Holly.